What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. Going to do a little bit of a different video for you today. We've kind of been doing these on the Mondays or Tuesdays. We do something a little bit different from just straight handicapping and picks. Last week, we talked about, how I kind of learned about horse racing, got into the game. And someone, I cannot remember the name now, in the comments as I start the video, mentioned, what are some things you'd like to see racing do differently? Or what would you like racing to change? There's a lot, but I have kind of, went over three things that I think really needs to be kind of updated, taken a look at, something of that nature, however you want to put it. It all kind of has to do with the betting side of it, and I think it's three things, betting or marketing, I should say, and I think it's three things we can do pretty quickly, pretty easily. The number one thing that I think needs to be done in racing, we have got to update the betting menu. We have a pretty solid betting menu when it comes, to win, place, show, exacta, try, pick 3, pick 4, pick 5, daily doubles. That's great. I don't think we need to change any of that. We need prop bets, and we need them bad. When you look at sports, and the sports gambling is just growing leaps and bounds, there's 100, 200, 300 different things you can wager on a specific game. Players and what will the final score be, like exactly, and things like that. I think it's pretty easy to do some of this in racing. Like, would you like to go to a track and be like, I think Bob Baffert is going to win 3 races today, and you see a prop bet that says over under is 2.5. Like, I think that would be fun. You could do it with trainers, you could do it with jockeys. We've done it on shows before in the past. It's like, okay, here, for the week at Saratoga, jockey David Cohen's going to win 1.5 races over or under, or Irad Ortiz is going to win 7.5 races this week at Saratoga over or under. I think these are things that can easily be done in racing, and I think it would attract maybe a different audience or a newer audience. And I also think it might get people that follow the game and don't bet a lot, but do have like favorite jockeys, favorite trainers. I think it would give them more of an enticing wager for them to make. I know a lot of people that just love the horses, love the people in the game, and they love to follow the races. They don't bet a ton, or they only bet on big days or here or there. But I think if they, say they love Javier Castellano and they're at the track that day, they would love to make a wager and just kind of root for his horses, to come home. So I think prop bets on jockeys and trainers, that's something that could easily be done. And it can be done very quickly, and I think it could make a lot of sense. I don't know that every track in the country could do that, but I think for our bigger tracks like the NYRA circuit, like the circuit out in California, the bigger circuit, I think that could be done pretty easily and pretty effectively, and I think it could do two things, which would be attract newer people to the game. If you bring somebody to the game and they're like, man, I don't understand all this, but you tell them, look, this jockey's really good. Why don't you play this over-under, and you can kind of follow him. And then maybe you follow him or her, I should say. Maybe you follow them, and it's like, wow, I won that bet. I want to know more about this. I think it's an introductory type of bet that would be good. And I also think it would get more of just the casual fan involved in the game if they could make wagers like that. So prop bets, jockeys and trainers, expanding that wagering menu, I think it would be good. I think it would also get the younger people a little bit more involved as well. So I really think that is an important thing that needs to be added. You can go on and build from that once you start. What will the opening fraction be in this first race here at Gulfstream Park today? You could do stuff like that as well, over-unders on stuff like that. Get creative with it. Look at the sports model as your example. Start small, like I said, with the stuff like the jockeys and the trainers, and you can expand on it. If you try it and it doesn't work, you can always stop it as well. But I do think that is one thing that needs to be added. Expanded wagering options on these races, all kinds of different ways you can do it. Jockey, trainer, prop bets, I think, are the first thing on the list that you could get creative with. So that would be number one on my list. Number two, and I think this is, something that's just talked about so much, we got to lower the takeout rate. Now, that's not going to attract new fans because they're not even going to know what really that means, but it's going to keep the fans we have, and it's going to entice people to bet more and find, better value. If one track lowers the takeout rate and the other track doesn't, well, they can hammer on that track. We need to do it, and I really think a track needs to lower, and I heard Marshall Graham talk about this. We always talk about pick 4s and pick 5s getting the lower takeout. I really think we need to focus on win, play, show. Let's lower those as well, and let's get more of those introductory bets and those bets that you could really churn your money in. He made the example, what if there was a 10% takeout rate on wins? I mean, I think a lot of people would be all over that. And like I said, it's that churn that you could get with people betting wins. And that's kind of how you stay afloat a lot of times, betting those wins, finding those prices that maybe a horse shouldn't be, let's say 5-2. Maybe you think the horse should be even money and you get that overlay and so forth. So I really think lowering the takeout rate across the board is the answer to keep long-term players involved in the game. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that very often. Takeout rates have kind of just stayed stagnant. There's been some tracks, and you give those tracks credit that have tried it. But overall, I think if the major ones started to do it, I think you'd see a little bit of an uptick. So lowering that takeout rate would certainly be number 2. The number 3 thing, and this is another one that's been talked about a lot, the marketing in horse racing, it's odd, and it's not everybody, but it seems like a lot of the bigger ones, we try to market, they try to market for more of a come to the racetrack. It's a luxurious experience or something like that. You see this with the Pegasus a lot. It's like, come to the racetrack and you're going to have this, it's all, high fashion and very fancy. I don't know if that's really the reality of who we should be marketing to as a sport. I think targeting the bettors is the biggest thing. And what I would try to do if I was a marketing manager, which I'm not, but if I was at any of these tracks, I would try to look at these people that are betting on sports. And like I said, it's a big time market right now. And I would try to market to them and say, look, you can bet on a game and you're going to get odds that are, minus 110 is like the common thing if you're playing, the point spreads, or you can play money line, but you're never going to get that great of odds on a single sports game. And I would say, look, you can do that. You can bet sports. You could wait 3 hours for the results and you could make even money. Or you can come over here to racing and you've got a board filled with things where you can get a much, much higher return on your dollar. And it's only going to last a minute or 2 minutes. And you're going, depending on the distance of the race, and you're going to get that payout. And I think if you market to the sports gamblers and you market more to the gambler, other than the person that, I don't know, is going to come to the races because of fashion or because they think it's like the thing to do, I think you're going to get more money into the pools, marketing to the gambler and things like that. And that really ties into number 1 as well. You could get those sports bettors in with more of the sports-like bets to introduce them to racing. And then you could go, hey, what you're doing is great, but look at this. Like, this horse is 8-1. You could get $8 on your dollar. And you also got to go to those sports players that are playing parlays and say, that's great. Those parlays are fine. Here's how you can make that in racing and potentially a lot more in racing for a little amount of a wager. So those are really the keys that I would try to hit. I would really try to go get those sports people. And we saw it. When COVID happened, people that bet sports came to horse racing, and many of them have stayed around. And many of them did not even know what horse racing was before they started, or they knew very little. But they came to the sport because there was nothing else to do and nothing else to bet on. They learned and they're like, wow, this is great. You got to get more of those people. We saw it as an industry in 2020. We had a boom in horse racing because those sports bettors came and they were like, this is great. And now we're seeing them stick around. I can't tell you how many people I've met that said, wow, once I figured out that, wow, I can get, X amount on my dollar over here at the racing side of it. I really loved it. And that's how I found you guys, So I think that is a big key to try to market and try to get more of those people. I don't think we can rely, and we shouldn't have to rely, and we shouldn't root for a pandemic to get new people involved, right? We should be able to do it on our own. Listen, it's above my pay grade, right? I'm not a marketing manager at one of these tracks. Somebody's got to figure this out. Somebody's got to figure out how to get these sports people over to horses. And I think the best thing is to do is just try to market to them and try, to inform them, look, overall, this is a better wager than sports. And you're going to get more bang for your buck over here. So anyway, I could go on and on. That's the 3 things I would change. I would expand that wagering menu right away, where we get the quote unquote player props and we get that for owners, or for not for owners. Well, I guess you could, but probably more for jockeys and trainers. Number 2, get that takeout reduced, lower the takeout across the board to keep the fans happy that you make and that you have. And you know, those hardcore gamblers that understand what takeout is. And then number 3, you got to change your marketing. You got to try to get more of those people that are hammering sports right now and really getting into that market and being like, look, yeah, sports are great, but here's another thing that you could do where you're getting more bang for your buck. So that's the 3 things I would change. There's a lot you could get into. You know, I don't want to get into the medical or the medication violations and all that stuff. I've beat it to death. I don't want to get into it. But those are the 3 things I think can improve horse racing immediately, and things that seem to be doable. It doesn't seem to be out of the reach that you could do those 3 things within a fair amount of time. It might get to see a little bit of uptick. Anyway, that's what I've got. Not saying I have all the answers. That's one guy's opinion. You may hate all 3 of them. You may tell me all 3 of them are impossible. You can't do it. That's one guy's opinion that's been in the game here for a long time and been in kind of the other side of it, at least at times, as far as the back end of it goes. That's what I think needs to be done. You may hate it. You may like it. Somebody asked for the video. That's my opinion. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're going to keep doing some videos like this, by the way. I think every week I'm going to try to do something. Dave Barisel, shout you out. You had a comment about, you know, when you want to play a favorite, when you want to play a long shot over underneath, what does that horse look like? So more instructional videos kind of like that, or maybe not, that's the wrong word, but just more videos of like, yeah, this is how I identify when I try to do X, right? And so we'll get into that as well. We'll keep trying to do these once every week. If you got ideas for us, just let us know things you want to do. We'll do them. You know, we'll work through them, I guess, is how to put it. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching this one. Make sure to hit the like button if you liked it. Hit subscribe if you really liked it. And once again, just one guy's opinion. I'm trying to help. I don't know, probably doesn't do any good. Nobody's going to listen to this that can do anything about it, probably. But here I am. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next week.
RacingDudes.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track across the country. We're ramping up for the 2023 Kentucky Derby, and we want you to join us in the fun. Subscribe to Racing Dudes YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a single video. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.